Hello and welcome. I'm Adriana, physiotherapist and yoga instructor with a passion for trauma-informed care and chronic pain. Today's video will be a trauma-informed yoga sequence focusing on healing. The poses that we'll do in this practice will be moved through a little bit slower, so perhaps grab something that will keep you nice and cozy to wear. Feel free to grab a blanket, perhaps a pillow, or any props that you think will be helpful for you today. And grab your mat and we'll get started. Whenever you're ready, I invite you to join me lying down on your back. You might choose to grab a blanket or a pillow to start this practice. And if it feels good for you to do so, I invite you to focus on your breath. Just noticing that breath as it goes in and out of your body. Not trying to change it in any way. Maybe noticing as it goes through your nostrils, perhaps through your mouth. Perhaps recognizing that your body naturally does this all day to keep you alive. And if it feels helpful for you today, I invite you to think about what needs healing for you. Whether physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever comes to mind. Just take a second to acknowledge that. And if you don't want to do that, that's okay. You don't need to. It's your choice to be here doing this yoga video with me in whatever way works for you. If it's in your practice today, I invite you to bend the knees. And perhaps bringing in some gentle movement through the low back by bringing the knees left and then bringing them right. And you can choose how big or how small you want to make this movement in your knees and in your legs. Maybe noticing the back as it moves back and forth as you do this. Perhaps taking a minute to go back to the breath. Noticing where it's coming in and out of your body. In your own time, I invite you to bring your knees up to your chest. Maybe bringing the arms to the shins and pulling the knees in as close to the body as feels comfortable for you. Maybe taking some time to rock back and forth, as big or as small as feels good for your body. And if you start doing it one way and you realize that doesn't work for you, that's okay. You can always stop. You can always go slower or faster. It's your choice. Maybe taking a few more breaths here. On your next exhale, bringing the legs back to center. And if there's any other movement that you feel would be nourishing for you on your back today, I invite you to do it now. And if there is no other movement on your back that you'd like to do, I invite you to meet me in child's pose. Getting into that pose in any way that feels good. And there's many variations of child's pose you can choose for your practice. You might choose arms up. You might choose arms by your side. Perhaps you rest your head on the ground. Maybe you rest it on a block or your blanket or your pillow. Find the variation that works for you today. Maybe noticing some pulling throughout the low back. Maybe your glutes are resting on your heels. Maybe they're not. Going to do 5 more breaths here. Just know that you can change the variation or change the movement if 5 breaths feels like too much for you. Two more breaths. On the next exhale, I invite you to bring your left leg forward, moving into a low lunge position. Perhaps placing your blanket under your knee if you need a little bit more cushion today. You might take a second to feel the sensation in your right thigh. You might notice a bit of pulling or stretching there. Maybe you choose to stand up a little taller, bringing the top of your head closer to the roof. If it feels good for you, I invite you to place your hands on opposite elbows, bringing your arms up above your head. You might notice a bit of sensation in the mid-back as you do this, or in the neck, maybe the shoulders. Remembering that you can always bring the arms down if you choose. I invite you to take 2 more breaths here. On the next exhale, if your arms are up, you can bring them down to your side. And we'll switch sides here. So bringing that right leg forward. Once again, maybe noticing some sensation now in the left thigh. Perhaps a bit of a stretch. You might find that your ankle muscles are working a lot. If you would like, you can join me again, placing the hands on the opposite elbows, perhaps noticing the breath as it goes in through the nose, maybe out through the nose or the mouth. One more breath here. The next exhale, if your arms are up, bringing them down, bringing that right leg down, moving into a bit of a hamstring stretch or a stretch for the back of the leg. So if it feels good for your practice, I invite you to bring the left leg up and lean forward. And then straighten that left leg, which is naturally going to bring your body back. Perhaps choosing to stay in this position. You might choose to put your hands on blocks, or maybe bring your hands all the way up if it doesn't feel good to have them down. Maybe you lean back a little bit more, inviting a little bit more sensation into the back of the left leg. If it feels good, hold here for 3 more breaths. The sensation in the back of your leg feels too strong. Remember that you have the choice to get out at any time. One more inhale. One more exhale. In your own time, bending that left leg, bringing the body back up, and repeating the same thing on the opposite side if you choose. Placing the hands down, right leg forward, knee bent. And gently straightening that front leg, naturally bringing your body back. Noticing once again the sensation in the back of your right leg. You might even notice it coming into your back. Perhaps you don't notice any sensation at all. Three more breaths. And on your next breath, bending that front leg, moving to a standing position at the top of your mat in whatever way works for you. You might choose to bring that left leg together, closer to the right one, and then stand up from there. And I invite you to move into a forward fold, bringing the arms down, bending throughout the spine, only going as far as you would like today. Perhaps choosing to place your hands on a block. Maybe you place your hands above your knees. You get to pick what works for you. If it feels good, 3 more breaths here. Last inhale, last exhale, making your way back up to standing in whatever way works. Moving into a standing forward fold with your legs wider. From this position, bending down, moving your hips behind you. Once again, maybe placing your hands on a block. You might choose to grab opposite elbows. You might notice some different thoughts coming into your mind as you move through these forms. Recognize that that might happen and that's totally okay. Knowing that your body might feel different on any given day. So certain forms might feel different or better or worse on any day. You get to choose how long you'd like to stay in them for. One more breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Making your way back to standing in whatever way works for you. I will be moving through one flow to the ground. You can join me at the top of your mat if you would like, or you can choose to make your way into a seated position. If you're joining me, I invite you to bring the arms above your head, gently bringing them down to the ground. Lifting halfway, gazing in front of you if that feels okay on the neck. Placing your hands down, bringing your legs behind you. Maybe bending those elbows, coming down to the ground. Placing the tops of the feet on the mat, maybe arching the back slightly. And then coming back and making your way into a seated position. I will be starting sitting with my legs straight in front of me. Feel free to join in. From this position, if it feels good for your body, I invite you to slide your arms down your legs. Maybe noticing more sensation through the backs of the legs as you do this. You might choose to sit on your pillow or a bolster or a block if that feels better for you today. Taking 3 breaths here. Maybe deciding to reach a little further with your hands or bringing your chest a little lower to your legs. Perhaps deciding to bend the knees a little bit. One more breath. And in your own time, making your way back up to sitting. Moving into a seated twist, I invite you to bend the right leg. Bring the right arm behind you and bring the left arm on the outside of the right knee. Perhaps noticing a few sensations throughout the legs and back as you're here. Maybe pushing through that right hand to make your body a little bit taller. And if this twist does not feel good for you today, then you can come out at any time. 2 more breaths. And whenever you're ready, moving out of that and doing the same thing on the opposite side, bending the left knee, placing the left hand behind you, bringing the right arm outside of the left leg, twisting in the opposite direction. Perhaps pushing through that left hand to stand up a little taller. Taking 2 more breaths here. And on your own time, coming back back out. You might choose to shake the legs a little bit. Take this time to find any movement that your body is asking for. When you would like, I invite you to go onto your knees and we'll move into camel form. On your knees, bringing your hands onto your low back. You might choose to stay here in this position. That is 100% okay. Or you might choose to bring the chest up a little more and lean back slightly. Or perhaps you choose to bring the hands all the way down to the backs of the legs. Any variation is good. Taking one more breath. On your next exhale, coming back up onto your knees. Moving into pigeon. Coming onto the hands and knees. Bringing the left knee up behind the left hand. The right leg out straight behind you. Maybe choosing to stay on the hands or joining me on the forearms. You might try and bring the left foot closer to the right elbow. You might explore the sensations that you're feeling in your left hip, maybe in the right leg. You might not be feeling much at all. It feels good, taking 4 more breaths here. If you're noticing any sensations come up, know that that is okay. It's okay to feel whatever way you are feeling right now. One more breath. Coming back up when you're ready. Moving to the right leg, bringing that left leg back. The right knee goes up behind the right hand. And that left leg goes straight behind you. Once again, maybe being on the hands, maybe being on the forearm. Perhaps noticing something different on this side than the other side. Our body can be different from one side to the other, from one day to the next. You're always changing. Taking 4 more breaths here. On your next exhale, coming out of that pose, and I will be moving into the last forms today on my back. If there is any other movement that your body is calling for today, I invite you to do them now before you come onto your back. Whenever you decide to join me on your back, I invite you to take both knees to your chest, moving into a supine twist. Bringing both knees down to the right. Perhaps gazing over the left side of your shoulder. Maybe noticing sensations down your back, into your legs. You might choose to do a different arm variation here or move your head in a different way. Choose whatever feels best. Taking 3 more breaths here. On your next breath, bringing both legs up to center. In your own time, bringing your legs over to the opposite side. Maybe turning to look over the right shoulder. Taking 4 breaths here. In your own time, coming out of that form and joining me on your back. You might choose to grab your blanket, your pillow. So we'll be in our final resting form today. You can stay here as long as you would like. Perhaps thinking back to what you felt you needed healing for today, if there was anything that you chose at the start. And acknowledging for yourself that you took some time to focus on healing today. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the back right into the mat. Perhaps noticing the breath. Staying here in your body for as long as feels comfortable to you. Thank you for joining me today.